All right, wonders, friends, and soul family, you are listening to the most wondrous podcast on iTunes, and my name is Jason B. Godoy. I am your host of the show where we look at the wonder inside of ourselves and all the wonderful things we are capable of. Today, I sat down and it was our first ever back-to-back interview with Tamara Smith of the Grieving Mind. If you missed our episode last week, episode number 80, it was all about life's transitions, the grief process, and the loss process. So if you know someone who's lost a loved one or lost a friend during COVID and you want to be of more support to them, this would be the perfect episode to either listen to or to share with them, as there's plenty of tools for both people who have lost someone and both people who want to support someone going through a tough time. With that being said, today we're going to actually utilize Tammy's experiences as an industrial ergonomics athlete specialist, and we're going to utilize her trainings and her experiences as a certified life coach and certified neurolinguistics master practitioner to talk about stress and physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual resiliency in the workplace. So I want to frame this interview as more of a coaching call. It went about a little bit longer than normal, about an hour and a half, and that's because we did lots of coaching tools and strategies and techniques. I was going to split it up into two parts, but it didn't make sense because the biggest coaching technique was right in the middle of the interview. So if you've never experienced a coaching call before, this is a perfect opportunity to see what a coaching call is like, and you might find it's just like a normal, regular conversation. If you want to apply the coaching tools that Tamara implemented on myself and with myself, if you want to apply them on yourself, all you have to do when she starts doing this SWISH pattern is hit pause after she asked that initial question, write down the question, reflect on it for yourself, and then every time she says SWISH, she goes to asking you a question, and all you have to do is hit pause, reflect on the question for yourself, and then when she says SWISH, just do it again. It's pretty simple. I tried it out myself. I tried it for a second SWISH pattern. It's doable. So I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys find lots of value in this show. If you do, please share it with a friend. If you're listening from my job, you know who you are. I recommend you share this with someone that we work with so that we can help them and everybody can just become better, higher performing, higher functioning employees who are less stressed, because that's the goal. Stay tuned till the end of the show, guys, and I will share with you my experience of the SWISH tool that she shared with me. It's been about a week or two now, and I'll share with you how it's gone for me, if I've gone back for the ice cream or not, and there's value to be had all the way through anyway. So thank you for listening. I won't take any more of your time. Enjoy today's episode. It's a good one. All right, everyone. So back here again with a lovely friend who happens to be the creator of the Industrial Athlete Program, and that's actually how we met. She was kicking my butt back in the day. Her workouts are pretty intense, and she's also a neurolinguistics master practitioner. The accumulation of her life experiences and of her skill sets that she's acquired over the years have led her down a path as a grief and transitions coach. And even more than that, she also has an extensive background in workplace resiliency, and that is what we are here to talk about today: stress and workplace resiliency, with my friend Tamara Smith of the Grieving Mind. Welcome, Tamara.
Yes, thank you again for having me on. It's so exciting.
Yes, this is the first time I've had back-to-back interviews with the same guests, so it's truly an honor to have you back.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm truly honored. Thank you.
I appreciate all your knowledge and wisdom that you're sharing with the audience.
Yes. The way that we approach work these days is definitely shifting greatly due to all of the things that we're all going through collectively and individually, with all the changes that we're going through in the world right now. So these workplace resiliency strategies are going to be important for a lot of people to employ as we move forward. Stress in the workplace is not going to go away anytime soon, and we're going to need to build in some strategies to help people work through that stuff. So it's a lot easier to see what sort of a process is when it's outside of the body, okay, when we're doing something for our physical body. And actually, the processes that we want to employ, we need to actually start with our spirituality. So, and when I say spirituality, I don't mean necessarily believing in a particular religion or whether or not you believe in God or some other higher source. Okay. So it's just a matter of believing in something higher than yourself.
Got it. So let's quickly set the frame, Tamara. Today we're going to be talking about spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical practices that people can actually apply in their working environment, and it's going to help them basically manage stress better. It's going to help them perform better, be more productive, and obviously have better quality in the workplace.
Yes, much better quality.
And I find it interesting that we're starting with spiritual, because you wouldn't think of spiritual like being in the workplace. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. You know, I will tell you, for 20 years, I got it wrong. And I was doing it from the ground up, and it's actually, you need to go from the top down. So that's...
We need to reverse engineer it, basically.
Reverse engineer, yes. You know, for all of the years that I spent in the gym and running and handling my anxiety in that way, had I known the power of meditation and prayerful intention, or bringing a mindful intention to every moment of every day, I probably would not have had to spend all those hours in the gym, you know, getting my emotional self right, you know. So one of the best things that I've done in the last 10 years was creating a daily practice of meditation and or prayer. So, you know, for many years, my father's family was, I grew up in a Southern Baptist family, and their judgments and the dogma just didn't work for me. It didn't make sense for me. I don't think that if there is a higher power, which I do, you know, I said for a long time I was agnostic, and then I would change to an optimist agnostic, and now I definitely believe in something higher for sure. So I began a daily meditation practice or prayer or inspiration. So for me, it's not about necessarily believing or reading, having it come from a particular book that many people read, or going to a particular church. It could be being out in nature. It could be something as powerful as reading a daily inspiration, whether it's poetry or a famous, you know, a famous person that you admire and aspire to be like, and what their life struggles were.
And I've also seen the spiritual aspect very slightly, very briefly, but I've seen it come into work and come into my home in the form of music as well. I'll be listening to a random shuffle playlist at work, and then a song that really resonates with me, that really allows me to feel grounded and centered, kind of reminds me of a happy time or a time where I was focused in school. It'll just pop onto my playlist out of nowhere. And then that's kind of like a little spiritual reminder to me, at least.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. It could be a song that you hear, a piece of poetry. It could be art, you know, it could be a piece of pottery that you've made, that someone made for you, something physical that you see in your home. So there's many different ways that you can bring that into your experience every day. And it's about creating the practice for yourself, even if it's only 5 minutes. Okay. So meditation is not about filling up the mind. It's about emptying the mind. So, and you know, when you begin, you're just starting with 2 minutes. And some people, you can't even sit still for 2 minutes. So maybe it's a walking meditation, with the goal of it being, I'm going to empty my mind and see my thoughts as clouds floating by, for every single thought that comes, without judgment, and just noticing them go by, you know.
And everyone's different. Some people can't even close their eyes. I know when I first started meditating, I always did like this thing where you like pop an eye open, or you like open your eyes and close them again.
Yeah.
So what I had to do when I first started, I stared at a blank white wall, just a blank white spot on a wall. And I started with a minute staring and then 2 minutes staring. And eventually I got up to 5 and then 10 minutes. And I think at 10 minutes is when visually I could start kind of seeing my thoughts coming across the white wall. And I could just feel like whatever was in my mind playing out on the wall, visualizing it. And then eventually I was able to close my eyes for longer periods of time and start seeing stuff come across my mind that way.
Yes, exactly. Yes, you open up your vision to be, so you go from being laser focused to opening up your vision, and that helps to open up your heart, open up your mind to different possibilities instead of the rote stuff that we hear all the time, those rote tapes that play all day long in the background. We all know what those are for each and every one of us. We all have them. Stories. And usually it's stories, it's just loops, meaningless loops, old crap. Yeah, so I would say beginning with that every day. And if it's in the car, if it's 5 minutes while you're brushing your teeth and washing your face in the morning, having your coffee, whatever you can do.
Just something simple.
And simple.
For me, between this year and last year, not too many people know this, but I was pretty much on the verge of getting fired. I was had a lot of mistakes in my job. And, when you get to that point where you're just like, okay, whatever happens, happens. The biggest change between last year and this year, where I'm doing much well and actually staying focused at work, even with all the extra external stuff going on in the world, is having that daily practice of meditation, of breathing. Even if I get to work and I didn't have those 5 minutes in the morning to focus and meditate, look at a wall, breathe, whatever it looked like, pray. If I can take 5 minutes at work and do that, it's so much more helpful than if I had nothing at all or if I didn't do it at all.
Right. Yes. Even again, just 2 minutes, 5 minutes, anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything, because you can always go back to that state, that emotional state during your day if something goes haywire and things get really stressful.
Yeah. So how does gratitude, this idea of gratitude and being thankful and appreciative, how does that tie into spirituality and making our days better and more focused?
Gratitude is, and that's another thing that you need to start with too every day. So you're going to meditate and you're going to have gratitude. If you have a job right now, you're very lucky. And even if you've only lost your job right now, you're still very lucky. So it's remembering to give thanks for what we already have and is present and so abundant already in our lives. And that comes from a place of empowerment rather than looking at what you don't have. You're focused on all the things that you do have. Okay. So just living here in America, we're greatly privileged, So, and if you have a roof over your head, and again, going back to those basics every day, being just so grateful for, even if it seems like your life is turning upside down right now, we'll get to that later, opportunities. But going back to that daily gratitude practice is so powerful. So that's one of the things that helped me get out of my grief, actually.
Yeah, and just as simple as writing 3 things down that you're grateful for every day. Have you heard of the 5-minute journal? I've mentioned it in a few episodes before.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's a really good tool. I love the kids one. I talked about the kids one on another podcast that I was on. So the one is 3 lines. It's what's one thing that would make today an amazing day? What's one thing that you're grateful for? And then what's one thing that you want to happen today? And then it basically just got the kids in the mindset of how can I make today amazing? Why am I grateful? What am I grateful for? And the mindset of I have control over my day today. And for adults, even those 3 simple questions would be powerful.
Wildly powerful.
Yeah.
It's a prayer. It's a meditation. You're setting your intention. That's all a prayer is. I think I was myself wildly triggered by even the word God or prayer for years. So, and I see it in such a different way. You are putting out your intention into the world for how you want to experience it.
So someone who's never journaled before, never meditated before, never done any of that, we can just simplify it by saying, first off, journaling would knock out multiple birds with one stone to gratitude journaling.
Yes.
We can simplify it by saying intention, just take 5 minutes to be intentional and to be present and to be here.
Mm-hmm. That way, if some problem does arise during your day, you get to go back to that intention that you set earlier in the day. No, today I'm going to be peaceful no matter what shows up. Yeah, I'm going to make the decision to stay calm, breathe, do my processes, and get through the day. Yes.
Got it. Another one that I do is, and this might be spiritual or might be crossing into the mental side, which I think we're going to be moving to shortly. I ask myself these 4 questions as often as I can remember when I enter into a new room or a new environment. Is just, who am I? Where am I? Why am I here? And what am I going to do with it? So the who, the where, the why, and the what.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. And it sounds to me like, who am I? Like, I know who I am, and my who I am doesn't really change from environment to environment. But at the same time, for some people, it does. You know, we might be different at home than they are at work. And so
yeah,
it's a question.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are going to be you're playing different roles, you know.
Yeah.
A dad at home, you know, a wife at home, a boss at work, you know, a son at home. Many different roles we play.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. And those roles actually shape how we act, how we think, how we act, what we believe. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So is that crossing into the mental side of things, or is that still sticking in the spiritual area?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both, right?
A little bit of both. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think moving into the mental side of things, because when we play different roles, we have, like you said, we're a dad at home. I work at work, and I have all these different roles. How can I like anchor into the core of who I am and my being, like going between these different roles?
One of the best things that you can do, again, with that, with the spirituality, and now we're crossing into the mental too, is having that present moment practice.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you said, when you walk into a room, who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing? It's very, very existential, actually.
That's funny.
But because most people don't think about these things, they just rotely go through life without, introspection.
It's true.
But we are at a wildly transformative time in life right now. Wild, and I don't have to even say that. We'll all know.
Yep.
And it's going to be really important for us to reflect on these things, to heavily consider who do we want to be on the other side of this time?
Yeah.
Because we don't know how much time this is going to take. Is it going to take a year? Is it going to take 2 years? Is it going to take a decade? So how we live our lives and how we go moment to moment, day to day, week to week over these next several months or maybe years is going to have a profound impact on how our lives are going to outpicture decades from now. What we do today is going to profoundly impact the next generation. And as a man with children, I can imagine that's very important for you. Yeah. It
is. And it also goes back to what we said about reverse engineering. So now it's starting to click why we started spiritually. A great question that I ask myself all the time is, who would I have to become? Who would I have to be? So in this instance, like, who would I have to become to get to the other side of COVID with the job, to get to the other side of COVID, like in good standing in my job, something as simple as that. And we can kind of visualize what we want, and then from there just work backwards and apply the skill sets and apply the tools that we're learning to make it that far and to be that person as we get there.
That's right. Yep. Who do I want to be on the other side of this? Yep.
Yes.
Really important question for all of us to be asking ourselves right now.
Now, I know we talked about anchors. So then there's anchors for focusing. There's anchors for different things, for becoming calm, a calm state. There's anchors to create more energy in your body. Can we share a couple of these different anchors that we?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to first walk you through. I'm going to first walk you through an anchor for focus.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say if you start off your day and you're beginning with your meditation or your prayer, or you're setting your intention, and then your gratitude and your present moment practice, that's a really good way to calm the brain down, okay? So likely it is that you will go to work calm and peaceful, and also maybe you got some stuff going on in your family, you have an uncle that just passed away today, or whatever's happening. You're going through divorce, whatever those situations are. You have someone that's in the hospital with COVID. So
even just a fight the night before that was unresolved, or something simple.
Yeah. So, and maybe you need to bring up your focus for the day. Okay. So, because as you know, if you're in a high performance environment, whatever sort of position you have in your line of work, you're going to need to maintain that focus to get through that day, so that you don't make an error, or you're not written up for a costly mistake. Okay.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to walk you through. An anchor process. Okay. So anchoring was created by Ivan Pavlov in 1904. So we've all heard of like Pavlov's dogs, right? Okay. They rang the bell, and the dog knew that was time for dinner. And so, we all know that story. So you could do the same thing in your physical body to anchor. Really, you can anchor any sort of state that you want. Okay. So, but right now we're just going to we're going to do focus, but you can anchor in happy, calm, joyful, empowerment, energy, ecstatic. You can any kind of emotional state. Okay.
Got it.
So has a couple of different parts to it. Okay. So I'm just gonna walk you through it. I'm just gonna mention what the process is, and then we're gonna do it. Okay.
All right.
So there's 4 steps to anchoring. So you're gonna recall a very vivid past experience where you were intensely focused. Okay, and then we're gonna anchor that specific stimulus at the peak of the state. So what your body's, go ahead.
Question. You say a past experience where you're intensely focused. Does it have to be in the same environment? So do I have to recall a time at work where I was intensely focused, or can it be like a time where I was training outside of work?
Good question. It could be any one of those.
Okay.
Okay.
So proceed.
Mm-hmm. So, and then I'm going to walk you through that. And then as you're recalling that specific vivid experience, you're going to touch a part on your body that you wouldn't normally touch. Okay. So you're maybe going to touch your knuckle or a part of your wrist or something that's kind of inconspicuous, so that if you're doing it in an environment, people don't really know what you're doing.
Got it.
And once it's anchored, it comes back like now. And once you do it a couple times.
So like an elbow would be good?
Yeah, you could do elbow, you could do wrist,
Okay.
something that, So, so basically, we're providing your body with an intense associated state, and it's a unique internal stimulus that is unique to you. Okay. And then we're going to set off the anchor once you're at your peak. Okay. So I actually need to see your face a little bit better. Okay. So we're going to anchor at the very peak of your experience. And you want to do it, you can never anchor too early, but you can anchor too late. So if you want to go ahead and touch your knuckle before you feel the peak, but make sure that you hold the anchor for a full 10 to 15 seconds, and then we're going to release.
Okay, do I close my eyes to get to that pink state, or do I just kind of focus in my mind?
You can, if that's more effective for you. Yes.
Okay. Well,
yes.
Anyone that's listening to this podcast while driving, we don't want you to close your eyes and do this.
Yes.
You're able to take the space and take this 15, 20 seconds to anchor yourself in. I think it's like 30 seconds total. Then let's go ahead and try to do that right now.
Yes, yes.
So, and I'm going to use my elbow, if that's okay. Because I broke my elbow, I really remember, and I don't touch it a lot, but I try to be mindful of it.
Okay.
And other people can use their knuckles, or they could use their wrist, like we said, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's just going to be a place on your body that you don't normally just touch all of a sudden. It's,
No, I go like this a lot, and I'm very mindful of it, but I don't touch it ever, so.
Okay, good. Okay. So I will go ahead and I'm going to have you close your eyes for this one. Okay. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and then I do need you to reply, okay? And it's okay if your mind pulls up a different sort of focus point in your life with each time we do it. Okay?
All right.
Can you remember a time when you felt totally focused?
Yes.
Can you remember a specific time?
Yes.
As you go back to that time now, go right back to that time. Float down into your body and see what you saw, hear what you heard, and really feel the feelings of feeling totally focused.
Okay.
And release. Good.
All right.
Good. Did you have breakfast today?
I did. Yeah, I made egg toast.
Oh, yummy. Okay. Good. That's just a break state. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a question to pull you out, and then we're going to go back in. Okay.
All right.
Because remember, we're creating a specific. We're basically creating new tracks in your brain. Okay. Okay. Go and close your eyes. Why don't you take 3 deep breaths? Good.
All right.
Can you remember a time when you felt totally focused?
Yes.
Good. Can you remember a specific time?
Yes.
Good. As you go back to that time now, go right back to that time. Float down into your body and see what you saw, hear what you heard, and really feel the feelings of feeling totally focused. And release. Good. I think someone's making popcorn in my building. Huh? It's weird.
So that was a different scenario where I was totally focused on the first time.
Good. Good.
Okay.
That's good. Okay. Because remember what your brain is doing. Now, when you go to do this later at work, your brain is going to pull all those focus experiences into one railroad track. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be even more powerful.
Yeah, so it's probably good if it's like a time where I was very physically focused, a time where I was very like mentally focused, and then we'll see what comes up next. But it's kind of like the different, like you said, spiritual, physical, mental, emotional. They're all the focuses are coming together.
Yes, that's right.
Awesome.
Right, and that's all physiology. Okay, it's all physiology and mental states together. Mm-hmm. Okay,
Right.
good. Let's do it again. Okay, so I'm going to have you close your eyes again. And I want you to take 3 deep belly breaths. Good. Now, can you remember a time when you felt totally focused?
Yes.
Good. Can you remember a specific time?
Yes.
Good. Now, as you go back to that time now, go right back to that time. Float down into your body and see what you saw, hear what you heard, and really feel the feelings of feeling totally focused. And release. Good. What are you going to have for lunch today?
A green juice shake.
Green juice? Good. Good. Okay, so how was that?
It was interesting. The first time I was able to see what I saw when I was focused, not necessarily like feel or hear. And the second time I was able to see what I was seeing, I was able to feel what I was feeling in the moment and like the intensity of it. And the third time it was like the full picture, and it was all different environments. The third time I saw it, I felt it, and I actually started hearing the music playing in the background.
Very good. Very good. Right.
Would you like to hear my environments or just?
Yes, sure.
So the first time I was in my college library, just sitting at like the little cubicle that I had, just in the zone in the computer doing homework. I think it was the night that I pulled an all-nighter the first year of college. Second time, it was at my high school gym, just like one of the hardest workouts I ever had, where I was alone, like after in the weight room by myself, just totally focused. And the third time, it was when I was praying a lot and when I was really involved in church, and I had a little prayer room, like a war room, and I could see myself sitting in the room, and I could actually see the scriptures on the wall and like feel that feeling that I got sitting in that room. And then I started hearing the whatever like peaceful music I had in the background.
Great. That's perfect. Yes. Yep. And then when you do it again, you might have another experience come up. Yeah.
Yes. And I like how it was a mental, a physical, and then a spiritual experience of focus, because that's what my job is, or that's what work is there's mental, spiritual, and physical aspects to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're also pulling in everything that you felt, what you saw, what you heard. Maybe if you had a certain smell in the air, if there's a certain taste in your mouth, you can pull all those experiences into that if you can recall them all. And often you can.
So then if I'm at work and I need to recall my focus, I just kind of, same thing, close my eyes for 10, 15 seconds and touch my elbow and just tap into one of those states.
Yep. Yep. And if it's a particularly, difficult day, then maybe you do it a couple times.
Okay. So it'd be something great to do after like every break, perhaps, like after every lunch or break, to just refocus before you go back to work.
Yes, exactly. And then one of my jobs as a practitioner is I actually get into the same physiological state as you, because we have our minds mirror each other. So if I'm trying to evoke a certain emotional state in you, I'm going to go to that very same state myself. So my brain was pulling up all kinds of same thoughts, from my own past of focus, of intense focus. Yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So, and then another anchor that I personally use at work, and maybe you might know one similar to it. Just when you're staring at, like, I look at numbers all day at my job, and I look at barcodes, and the numbers tell me where to go and what to do. And a lot of times the last couple hours of the day, I start feeling like dyslexic and the numbers are all getting jumbled up and mixed up. So what I do is I'll look at somewhere that I don't normally look. So instead of looking at the numbers on the paper, I look at the one line in between the numbers, and I intensely stare at that line for 10 seconds or so. And it kind of resets my focus and my vision. And I'm able to go back and see the numbers plainly.
Yes, right. So you can do that with focusing in on something small, or you can go out to foveal vision where you're not focusing on anything. You're just using your periphery and giving your eyes kind of a break. And that can also be a reset for you as well.
Got it. Can we walk through that exercise for the listeners, the ones who are able to take the 10 seconds and practice it really quick?
Sure. So what we're going to do is you're just going to sit quietly with your feet on the ground, your hands on your lap comfortably. Okay. And you're going to relax your eyes.
Okay.
Relax the space in between your eyes here. And you're not going to look at anything. you're going to open up your vision as wide as you can.
So almost like make your eyes big and kind of like roll them, right? So that you can see outward.
Right. You're going all the way out, not focused on anything. So you can see your peripheral vision on both sides.
Yeah, there's someone walking down the street right here.
Yeah. And you're going to breathe into that, for maybe 10, 15 seconds. And then break.
And do you come back inward after and like recenter, or you just?
Yeah, just go back to normal.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. I think I used to use that one in college, that first state of focus we just talked about, not knowing, like when I was in the libraries, that's how it reset when my eyes needed a break too. So
yes, very good for, especially when you're looking at numbers all day and
beautiful.
Have to have the intense focus. Yeah.
Now there was one, I think you had mentioned it, something about SWISH, and it's one of the few that you mentioned that I'm not familiar with. I just think of Nike, like just do it when you say SWISH pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain what the SWISH pattern is and how we can apply this one? I mean, maybe
yes.
Nike, maybe you just got to do it. I don't know.
Yeah, so SWISH pattern is, so what we just did was really, really good for anchoring an emotional state that you would like to be experiencing. Okay. So SWISH pattern would be used to change up a behavior. Okay. So, because there are two different processes used to do two different things for you. Okay. So SWISH pattern is really good. So let's say, do you have a negative behavior that you would like to kind of get rid of or change up?
A negative behavior that I would like to get rid of.
Yeah, like let's say it's 3 o'clock and you're used to going to the, I'm not saying this is you, I'm just giving you an example. It's 3 o'clock and you're used to having going on your break, and you go and you get a Snickers bar, and you know that that's bad for you. You know you're gonna have an energy crash in an hour.
Yeah.
And you're gonna feel like crap. So do you have something like that?
At work or just in general?
In general. Mm-hmm.
In general, let's see. Probably like Sunday night, I like to go grab like a couple of beers out of the fridge. It's usually the night I drink beers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that it's negative or anything. I just wake up feeling tired, and Monday's the worst day to wake up feeling tired.
Oh, yes, it is. I agree.
So, yeah, and there's obviously plenty of other options in there, but it's just a habit really at this point. Right.
Okay. So what would you like to replace that behavior with?
So I actually, my weekly recap, a lot of us don't create the space to sit down and reflect and think about our week. Mm-hmm. I do my weekly recap, but the 2 beers were kind of the way to get me to sit down and do the recap. Mm-hmm. But I think I could replace it with a sort of meditation, or like just a small present moment behavior, breathing or something like that. And that helped me be more prepared for the recap and still create the space to sit down and focus and reflect, but not really need like something to force me to sit down. Okay.
Well, another thing that you could do is maybe you make yourself some magnesium citrate tea in the evening.
Okay.
So magnesium is it's a mineral that we all need to replace. If you drink coffee every day or have a stress or sweat every day, as most of us do, you need to actually, that's a mineral that you need to replace. And it's actually extremely calming for the body. So it's likely that it'll give you the same physiological response that maybe you're looking for with kind of tapering down your central nervous system on your Sunday night, which is what the beer does. It kind of, right?
Magnesium citrate.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. There's a great brand called Calm that you can get at Sprouts or, probably CVS. And it's just, you can make it with hot water, or you can put it, into 16 ounces of cold water. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, you have it at night, and it really is great for bringing a sense of calm.
So is that similar to like
Fantastic.
melatonin or?
Yeah, yes, you could also do a melatonin tea as well.
Okay.
You could do either one. I probably wouldn't do them both together because
Okay.
it might be a little too strong.
Okay. I'll try the magnesium because melatonin doesn't really make me relaxed or tired.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure it does, but I have to consume a lot of it.
A lot of it, yeah. The calm is, you might want to play with the dosage. Like you could try 1 tablespoon. If that's not enough, you can do 2. So
Okay.
just kind of play with it.
So another habit that I mean, I guess I don't like is like a need to get coffee at that last break because that usually keeps me up way into the night also. So it'll be like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then sometimes at least 3 days a week, I feel like I need coffee or some type of a caffeine there. And I don't think I do. I mean, I get home and I feel energized still. It's more so just more of a focus thing.
Okay.
So would the SWISH help with that habit or?
Well, now you have an anchor for the focus.
True, that's true.
Yeah. So instead of, spending the money on coffee and then being up all night, you can just, you can fire off your focus anchor.
How about late night sugar habits? Is the SWISH going to help with that?
Yeah, I can help with any one of those.
Okay, so what is the SWISH? I'm still not clear.
Sure, I'm going to walk you through it. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up an internal picture representation of what that looks like for you, going for those 3 beers or having that coffee, or which one would you like to do?
Let's do the late night cravings actually, because I'm all about getting good sleep, and the late night cravings just ultimately lead to worse sleep. And that's the one that I probably do the most often.
Okay. So, and is it sugar or?
Yeah, it's usually sugar.
Okay. What would you like to replace the behavior with?
More sleep.
Or more water or?
Oh, yeah. Let's do water. I had never drink water before bed. That's a great idea.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the visual component up in your brain. So for your listeners, I don't know what your listener experience is with visualization. Okay, most people can visualize. There's only a small portion of the population that are not able to visualize. It's a certain condition actually. So what I usually say is to test that, I say, okay, close your eyes. Okay, so now you're going to imagine a red apple. Okay, now imagine if it were purple. Okay, so as long as you can see that purple apple, you're good. Okay, and most people are fine. Most people are fine with visualization. All right, so you're going to create that internal representation of going for that sugar craving or whatever it is that you go for your late night snacks.
So like visualize like opening the fridge and like grabbing it, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever that process is for you. So for some people it might be maybe they go out somewhere and get a dessert or whatever their process is.
Okay.
So it's very specific to you. So we're going to call this the old picture. Okay. And then we're going to bring up when you think of that at night and you think of doing that process, what are the strongest pieces of that? Is it the taste that you have? Is it opening up the bag of chips? Like what specifically is it that really gives you that satisfaction? You're going to think about that piece of it. Okay.
So are we thinking about like what sensory component kind of like triggers the emotions behind that action?
Right.
So like if it's the taste of something cold or the feeling of something cold, or it might be a smell or the sound of like the chips popping open. Open a bag and eat 1 or 2 and like they're good and they have a brand new bag ready.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So then we're going to create the new picture of your desired state or behavior. Okay, so with this is the behavior.
Okay.
So you're going to create your desired behavior of what you would actually like to be doing instead.
Okay, so imagine the physical movements or the physical actions that you're doing, not so much the senses or the feelings.
No, all of it together also.
All of it, okay.
So
Okay.
maybe for you, see if this fits, but maybe because you did mention water, so maybe it's filling up a nice 16-ounce, glass of water, and maybe that's when you make your calm tea with it, and then sitting down to meditate. Maybe it's something like that.
Something like that. I'm envisioning just choosing not to go to the freezer and like everything that involves the freezer being open, cold and everything, versus going to the fridge and one has a light, one doesn't.
Okay.
One's a longer process, like actually you said, getting like a water out, and yeah, so I'm envisioning that whole process.
Okay, good. Okay. So, so what we're going to do is I'm going to have you bring up the old picture. Okay. And we're going to elicit that trigger. Because basically, whenever we do a behavior, we have a trigger that comes before that. So, like, let's say for some people, maybe it's stress. A lot of people are stress eaters, right? All right. So, how do you know when it's time to go to the freezer and engage in late night eating?
Because it's hot and I can't sleep and the freezer's cold.
Okay. Okay, now just save that picture for later.
Okay.
Clear the screen. So now I want you to see a totally blank screen. Okay.
I'm seeing a green screen. Does that work?
Very good.
Okay.
How would you like to feel and act instead? And when you think of that, do you have a picture?
I would like to feel calm and cool and tired, and I would like to act I guess I would like to act like relaxed and slowly and also act tired as well. And I do have a picture.
Good. Now float into that picture, into your body, looking through your own eyes.
Okay.
Okay, now I want you to adjust the brightness of the picture. Turn it up, turn it down till the picture is the most intense and the most real for you.
Can you clarify looking at the picture floating into your body, you said, through your own?
Yes. So you're going to associate into your body, looking through your own eyes. And I want you to go through the experience of choosing to do the water and the meditation. And what is that going to feel, smell, sound, and taste like? Maybe you're feeling your hand on the cold glass of water.
Do you want me to answer it or no?
I just want you to think about it.
Got it.
What are the best parts of what that's going to feel, smell, sound, and taste like?
Okay.
Good. Now, keeping all those changes float out of the picture so you see your body in the picture.
And for some people in this point, when I take a deep breath, it's easier to see myself rising out of the picture as I'm breathing deeply.
Good. Now, clear the screen. Good, clear, green. Okay.
Green screen.
Okay, now I want you to bring up that old picture again of the old bad behavior. Not necessarily bad, we just want to change it, right?
Yep. The undesired behavior.
Undesired, right. Bring back the old picture and float into the picture so that you're fully associated, looking through your own eyes, opening the fridge, open the freezer.
The cold. Darkness.
Right. I'm going to explain the SWISH now. Now, keeping the old picture up, I want you to take the new picture and put it in the left-hand corner of your brain, small and dark. But it's still there, it's just small and dark.
For those people, I'm just trying to help people visualize who have trouble moving stuff to parts of their brain and minimizing it. If you see on YouTube, I put my left hand in a ball, and that allowed me to kind of slide it to the left side of my brain and just fit it into that small dark ball in my hand.
Right, like a thumbnail on your computer screen, very small.
Exactly.
Now, when I say shh, you're going to have the new picture explode big and bright on the screen, while the old picture rapidly shrinks into the lower left-hand corner. This can happen as quickly as 1, 2, 3. Shh. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Bring up the old picture.
Okay.
And the new picture, small in the left-hand corner.
Got it.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good. Clear the screen.
Okay, green screen.
Bring up the old picture.
Make it big, right?
Really big.
Okay.
And then bring up the new picture, small in the left-hand corner.
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Good. Clear the screen.
All right.
Bring up the old picture again. And the new picture. The new picture will explode big and bright in the screen. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good. Clear the screen.
And I find if I take a breath right at the swish, it allows me to just kind of swap it out with the breath.
Very good. Okay, clear the screen.
Green screen.
Green screen. Bring up the old picture. Again.
Okay.
And the new picture.
It's getting harder to bring up the old picture, but okay.
That's right. That's right. 1, 2, 3. Good. Bring up the old picture.
Okay.
Bring up the new picture.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Got it.
Old picture.
Okay.
New picture.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Good. Old picture. New picture. Again. Old picture. New picture.
Awesome. I think that's it. I mean,
Do you smell popcorn?
no, but I smell fresh air. I smell freshness.
That was good. Good. Yeah, you got it.
That was awesome. Yeah, every time you swish, it was like one sense from the old pictures, whether it was like a smell or a taste or the feeling of the coldness, to the light. One sense like disappeared every time you swished until there was like less and less sensory stuff to feel and recall. And then I started recalling more and more of the new picture every time.
Yes, that's the whole point of this. Yeah, and the whole point of this is actually so that you can't recall the old picture.
Okay. Now, for someone who missed this, they can obviously go back and pause it and listen to this segment and do the switch with themselves and
yes,
kind of do this exercise on their own. But is there a tool or like a link somewhere that they can also learn more about this swish? And we'll put in the show notes.
They can look it up on YouTube. You can look
Okay.
up swish pattern on YouTube, NLP
Okay.
swish pattern. Yeah.
NLP SWISH pattern, and then
Mhm.
I will dot or like timestamp this exact portion so they can always just go back to it in the show.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. What was the old problem again?
Late night sugar cravings. Yeah.
You had to search for it though, didn't you?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It was,
good.
I actually, so originally I thought the old problem was ice cream. That was what I kept visioning, was myself grabbing ice cream.
Mhm.
Said that ice cream came to mind first, but I didn't know where to get the ice cream from.
Oh, wow.
like I was like, wait, where do you go get ice cream at?
That's
So yeah,
great.
that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. The best outcome is when you ask the client, like, well, what was the problem again? And they actually can't recall it at all.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a yeah. So, and we were all, I think if we would have done it like maybe 3 more times, you wouldn't have been able to even access it. But the fact that you had the transdimensional searching, which is what your eyes do when you're searching for an answer.
Yep.
The fact that you had to go and look at, you pause, yeah, you forgot about it. So that's good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We talked about EMDR therapy in the last show, and that was just the eye movement, the rapid desensitization therapy.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of similar to the SWISH, because like you said, right now when my eyes moved, it was kind of rewiring my brain and thinking about it, or not really?
Yeah, it's a much lower grade process, yes, because you're not really, we're not rewiring your brain around trauma unless you had trauma around ice cream, right?
I hope not. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope not. But I mean, a person could.
Yes.
People can have trauma around anything.
So the EMDR is more for trauma, people who need like to seek professional help, and this is more just for habits and addictions and those kinds of things.
Yes, right.
Patterns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this was under the mental and the physical side of workplace stress and resiliency, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay, now I think we're ready to move on to the emotional side. We're just kind of trying to piece together and tie this puzzle together for everybody.
Sure. I wanted to touch on making mistakes or errors on the job.
Okay.
Because I know that can really impact a person. This is still going with the mental piece of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I was at that final warning point, and I thought I was going to get fired because I had so many mistakes and errors in my job personally.
Yeah. Right.
So.
Yeah, that's a time to reassess things for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually, if I think about it and reflect on it, it almost got so like, it was almost a habit, and it became so frequent that I actually questioned, like after the whole scenario passed, if I was doing it intentionally, if I was like making errors on purpose, or if I was just unconsciously aware of it. I was trying to figure out what was happening that was causing that to be so frequent. And like, I felt guilty, like I was doing it on purpose. I don't really think I was. I don't believe I was, but it felt like that,
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good time to reassess what's going on with you. Like, was there a change? Was there a change in the process that you were once using? And maybe you changed it up to maybe cut corners a little bit or save time or save energy, but then that ended up creating a problem for you. Or is something else going on? Maybe you have something going on in your personal life that is starting to get in the way of your work performance. And that's very common. Or maybe it is that you are unconsciously self-sabotaging, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I had a friend who he lives in New York, but I told him I was making these errors, and he knows nothing about my job. And then I told him, like, dude, I feel like I'm gonna get fired. It's like to the point it's happening so much. And he asked me, he's like, are you creating like a self-fulfilling prophecy for yourself?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So and how do we be aware if we're self-sabotaging or if it's just unconscious?
Well, it's good to be aware of your own patterns in different scenarios, whether it's in work or relationships or with your own personal habits, right?
Okay.
Because sometimes for some people, it might be easier to get fired versus being proactive and saying, wow, I'm really just not happy here anymore, or I want something more fulfilling, or I'm ready for another challenge, or whatever it is, whatever your reason is, or I need to make more money, whatever the problem is. So that's a time to get really clear with yourself about what's going on and really honest,
Yeah. I actually want to share an exercise, since you said get really honest, that helped me at that time. So when my friend, his name was Carlos then, he actually was the last question sponsor on the last show. He suggested that I write down every single error or mistake that I made at work, every time that I was just losing focus, and write it down. So I wrote like wrong order grabbed, I wrote mistaken like material, I wrote missed time, just whatever it was. And I think I wrote down 15 different things on 15 pieces of paper. And he said that I sit there and I think about each one and like why it happened and then how not to let it happen. And this whole process took probably about 20 minutes or so. And I did that. And then after that, he said to rip up each one and throw it into a trash can, which I did. And it was a metal bucket. And he said, burn it and the mistakes will never happen again.
Great.
Yeah. And I really felt like I was able to let go of like at least 90% of the old habits and patterns that were causing those mistakes, and just be more conscious of what I needed to do going forward.
Right. I want to make a really good point here too, because the SWISH pattern that I just walked you through could absolutely be used in that scenario. So going from making errors to making no errors.
Got it.
Because remember, you know, with tasks in our day-to-day work life, all you have to do is complete one task at a time correctly. That's all you have to do. So instead of getting ahead of yourself and getting super frustrated and worried and feeling overwhelmed with, you know, what's going on in that moment or that day or that hour, just focus on that one task and doing that and just being completely present for that one task. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Again, that's really narrowing things down to just really simplistic.
Or one way to look at it is one step at a time, right? If it's a full-on process that the task, then every single step of the process needs to be mindful. Like you need to be mindful of it and actively, consciously doing every single step.
Right.
Whether it's like checking stuff off, whether it could be anything, but every step. And that goes back to, I had the author of The Mosaic. Have you read The Mosaic?
No.
It's a really good book. Have you read The Alchemist?
Parts of it.
Okay,
Yes.
so The Mosaic has a very similar feel to The Alchemist, but it's a very short book. It's like maybe 150 pages.
Okay.
A fable written by the author of his personal life, a bunch of short stories, and each story is a different character that he meets, and then tie in to make one big story. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but at the very end of this little boy's journey from losing his parents to, he basically wanted to find heaven on earth. That was his journey. He met a rabbi, and at the very end of the book, the rabbi introduced him to a monk, and then he was in his alone time, and all the heavens like split open, and he could like see heaven on earth, like just in the sky. So he basically completed his journey. But what he told me was every single step in life has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if we miss any of those steps within the step, the beginning, the middle, and the end, then we're going to miss the process, and we're going to not experience the full beauty of life.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So. All we really do have is the present moment. There are no guarantees. Yeah. So it's just best to stay present as much. That's where your power is. Your power isn't in the past or in the future. It's now. It is right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. Every single moment. Yeah.
Yes. So like you said, you talked about the power of now last time. And my personal twist on it, my take on it is the wonder of now. Like, don't wonder about yesterday. Don't wonder about tomorrow. Just wonder about what's happening right now and do it.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Is there any other ways to like shake the errors like out of our mentality, or shake the errors out of our life?
Yeah, I specifically if you've just had an issue at work and you made a mistake or an error, and especially if you're like at that point where maybe you're on your third warning, and you know every company has something different that they do whether they put you on a written warning or verbal, and whatever the process is. Yeah, I would say go outside and literally shake it out of your body. Go for a walk, do something, shake it out. Another thing that you can do after you've done that is you can tap the meridians on your body. Okay. So we talked about bringing up your energy by doing some meridian tapping right here. And I mean hard. So right underneath your collarbone. And that's just another form of just shaking it off. right?
Just creating new energy.
Creating new energy. Yes.
Yes.
Right. Changing up your physiology. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then another good one that I personally do at my job, whenever I make an error or I get assigned an error, or if I'm being shifted to a new department, if my role is changing like within the middle of the day, first off, you might be tired. You might have to have a new energy for that new role.
Uh-huh.
I do the 3-tech breathing one, where on the first breath we breathe in deeply and we think of something we want to let go or release. So I might want to let go of that old role, that old position. I might want to release the error that I had just received or whatever, the mistake that I made. And this works for athletes too. If you made a mistake, you breathe in and release it. And then on the second breath, we call in something new. We receive something new. And I usually receive like the new role. I receive the new energy for where I'm going. And then on the third breath, I just breathe in deeply and I allow myself to be filled with an overwhelming feeling of abundance and joy and just light and happiness and peace.
Right.
But I can see now doing that, it would be a great reset, but then also finishing it up by tapping the meridians and like kind of sparking that new energy that we just brought in and
that's right.
Taking it higher.
Right. That's also important too. You know, when you exhale, we all have about 10 to 20% left in our lungs. Mm-hmm. So you want to fully exhale.
Get it all
so you're
out.
going to exhale and then blow out even the very, very, very last portion of it.
Yes. And that's the only benefit that I've seen from these masks so far. At my job in LA County, you have to wear masks inside of the workplace.
Yeah.
So it's pretty standard, but a lot of people have trouble breathing because of the mask. A lot of people aren't really conscious that they're not breathing fully because of the mask. So I've taken the mask as an opportunity because it's blocking my face to just breathe like extra hard, just go and like literally like breathe it all out, and nobody knows because I have a mask on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Perfect. So moving on to the emotional part of your spiritual, mental, emotional, physical processes for maintaining, you know, this work resiliency during high stress, you know, times like we're in it right now. You know, emotionally, you're going to want to, you know, things get to the point where you really feel stuck or confused or lost. You know, you might want to talk it out with someone. You know, so maybe with a mentor, with a coach, with a therapist, with your rabbi or pastor, or maybe a friend that you trust that won't judge you. Also, that's a really, really, really key component is no judgment. And if you don't have a friend like that, you know, maybe it's time to seek one out. So there's a lot of opportunities there for you to be able to just, sometimes it's just a matter of talking it out, you know, to getting to where you can go a little bit deeper so that you can figure out what you need to do at this time to move forward. You can also do the journaling. So you had listed the grief journal in the last episode. And also, especially with so many people living and working at home all the time right now, it might be really important for you to create a space for yourself where you can let the emotions out in private. So maybe that's going for a drive.
Before we move into the creating space, I want to touch on the journals really quick. This is a chance for me to plug in my journals.
Yes.
I created a negative moments of wonder journal and a positive experiences of wonder journal. And basically it's just a set of questions that allows us to write down the story that was in our mind. And what I do is I keep these journals open at my workstation, and then like all throughout the day, when I have a minute here, a minute there, I just kind of answer the questions as I'm going, and it slowly allows me to like clear space in my mind and then begin to focus more on the present moment.
Yes.
So an example of the positive one basically says let's go to the negative one because we all think of triggers as negative. It's what happened, it says who triggered you to feel angry, who triggered you to start wondering. And then I just write down the person's name or what the situation, and it says what happened, and I write down the whole story. And that's usually the biggest part, is just getting that story out of your mind. And then I write down how you feel after the story. And from the feelings, we go to, okay, what are the facts of the story? And once you get those feelings out, you're able to see the facts a lot more clearly.
Yeah.
From there, there's opportunity to kind of rewrite the story and write a new, like more strategic story that will better support you being in the present moment and getting you to what you want going forward.
Right.
And
it's called a reframe. Yes.
Yeah,
reframing your experience.
It's really just a reframe journal to reframe the experience so that we can feel good about ourselves, feel confident, and keep moving forward. And I'll put those in the show notes as well, because I really think they're powerful tools for people to have.
Right. Yeah. It's because it's really important to remember that feelings are not facts.
Yeah, we internalize them, but they're not facts.
No, and we can change our feelings about how we feel about something over time. And sometimes it can happen in just a moment, you know.
And I think
they can really happen in just one moment of time. And always keep yourself open to that, no matter what you've been through. Because you can change your mind about something like literally in one moment. It's just a matter of time often.
Have you heard of the thermostat principle for like setting your feelings at the beginning of the day, kind of being intentional with your feelings?
No.
I used to use it a lot, but I kind of got away from it. I've been so busy. But yeah, when you just wake up, like we wake up and however we feel is how we feel. And then throughout our day, we're not conscious of our feelings. And like you said, in one moment, your feelings can go from like super happy and super excited to now you're super sad. You might make a mistake and you're guilty, you feel shameful. But the thermostat principle, I wake up and I kind of write down my 3 core feelings, almost if I was writing my 3 gratitude things for the day. So I write today, I want to feel excited, I want to feel energized, and I want to feel driven or something like that. Whatever feelings I have, all throughout the day, I'm able to recall back on those feelings. So when I do feel sad or if I feel nervous, then I just kind of check my thermostat mentally. And then I'm like, oh, no, today I'm feeling energized and excited and joyful. And I go back to that state.
Perfect. Yeah. Very helpful. Yeah. That's a great process. I love that you're doing that at work. I'm sure that's really helped you move forward after all those errors.
It has. And even like, even if you just have like a unpleasant conversation with someone, I mean, it's a great way to just recenter those feelings. And
yes.
not take on their feelings, not take on their energy, you know?
Right. That's really important too. Yeah.
So we were saying creating space for emotions in a private way. And that was, like you said, for a drive, if you're working from home, just to get out. For some people might have a nice cafeteria at their job, but they just might need alone time. So they might need to eat lunch in their car opposed to eating lunch with everybody else.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely. Going for a walk. Whatever it is, going for a drive and screaming up the top of your lungs, going for a drive and crying your eyes out, whatever you need to do.
Just screaming in the car with the music or something.
Yep.
And back to the journal, I mean, space and journaling go hand in hand. I find that the negative experience one, if I can get a good scream in first, I call it release the rage. If I can get a good scream in, the journal goes so much deeper and I'm able to be so much more honest and truthful.
Yes, that's right. Getting the anger out.
Yeah.
And right. So, and that's the last piece that I wanted to go into was the physical, how you take care of yourself physically, you know. So of course, when you're in a high stress, high performance scenario, whether you're an athlete or in a high performance job, how you take care of your body is going to be very critical. So proper sleep, proper nutrition, proper water intake, and the right balance of nutrients for your particular body, whatever that means for you. Like there's so many different, diet theories out there. I can't even count them anymore, but whatever works for you and your body. I cannot say enough about sleep and all the different things that sleep does for us. So getting that full 8 hours of rest is going to be critical for focus and for energy in a high stress environment like that. Another great thing that you can do after a particularly stressful, crappy day is doing an acuity scrub in your shower at home. So one of the things that I really like to do is go to Korean spas. Well, we can't do that right now. So an acuity scrub, you can look it up.
Okay.
So you can buy these little mitts online.
Oh, I've seen them, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they are the way when you go get an acuity scrub, they scrub your body. I mean, like they're scrubbing the kitchen floor. Okay. So one of the best things that we can do, one of our biggest organs is actually our skin. So we have a lot of toxins just from everyday life, like especially now the air quality is so bad in California right now. So, and scrubbing those toxins off of our skin, so that we can resurface our skin, and so the body can continue to shed, because we're shedding all the time. We're shedding skin cells all the time.
Got it.
And the Akasuri scrub really helps with that process.
And that's, how do you spell Akasuri so I can put it in the show notes? It's
Sure. Akasuri.
Got it. We'll have that in the show notes.
Yes.
And so taking like a regular bath to relax at the end of the night, to wind down. I'm sure a lot of people take baths. Maybe take it a step further by doing the Akasuri scrub in the bath.
Yeah. Well, you do the Akasuri scrub in the shower, and then you could run a bath after.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even using the essential oils in your bath, right?
Yeah.
Another great thing that you can do is, great thing about these essential oils that everyone's using now is they bypass the critical mind. So if you need, they have essential oils for calm, lavender, other things like that. They have little, like, not a really nice blends now. They have specific oils for focus. And depending on what emotional state you're trying to achieve that day, you could put that right in underneath your nose here. You can put it on your fingertips and do your meridian tapping, right?
So I use lavender before bed, but at work I use peppermint oil. Peppermint oils are really good. It wakes you up. Even
really wakes you up.
Lemon oil is a good combination too. And I don't put it on my nose, but I might try. That's a great idea. I put it on my mask actually, because I have to have a mask there.
Yeah, your mask, whatever. And then, you can keep it with you so that if you need a little more pick-me-up, and then later in the day, you can, just reapply. And you don't need a lot of these as essential oils because they're cold pressed. So they're really, really strong. Just be careful, don't touch your eyes, be careful.
Now, have you ever heard of people using essential oils as like a grounding mechanism? So like I've also, before the mask, I would put it on my little thumb area, which I don't touch very often. And then I would kind of smell that if I needed like a grounding or a reset.
Yes, that's another anchor actually.
Okay.
So you can use a scent as an anchor along with your physical anchoring on your body.
Yes, we did talk about that. So that's just an example of how you can use the scent.
You can combine the two. Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful.
So then you'll get to the point where you'll smell a certain smell and instantly you go into that state.
Okay.
One of the other things I wanted to talk about was, definitely using, there's lots of different, we're all using hand sanitizer now these days, but you can also use the Thieves. That's one of the products that are out there. I think that's made by Young Living. And
Thieves is, just for people who don't know, Thieves is really it's like a natural, not a flu medicine, but it's like a natural cold, like preventative.
Sanitizer.
Yeah, natural sanitization qualities, natural bacteria killing qualities. So I've also used these before, especially at work if you're around a lot of people and you kind of feel like there's germs in your area. It's a good use.
Yep, excellent. That's something that was used in New York when I was here in March, right before the outbreak.
Yeah.
I was using it all day long.
Right.
It just helped give me that peace of mind, And this was before we knew how bad it was.
Definitely. And another physical, I guess this one's more of an energy clearing that I've used before, and this is good for the people watching on YouTube. What you do is you just kind of wipe the energy off the arms. You take your right arm, put it on your left shoulder, swipe down, take your left arm, right shoulder, swipe down, and then we're going to do a crossbody swipe too. So then right arm, I put it right under my armpit, and I do like a crossbody swipe, and then left arm, even on your shoulder, crossbody swipe. It just gets any old stagnant energy off of you as well.
Yes, absolutely. And for me, I do it really hard. I'm really getting that stuff, and I'll do my entire body.
Got it. So then you do like from your waist down too, and just like scrub it off really hard.
Yep, absolutely. Because remember, that helps change up your physiology, right?
Yes.
One of the things I wanted to talk about was when you have a really high stressful job or have to perform all the time, is having some kind of a creative outlet for yourself, so that it allows your logical brain to just kind of give it a rest, especially when you have to perform at such a high level and you're expected to almost perform in a perfective way, which is stressful as, having a job like that. So having a creative outlet where it doesn't really matter what the outcome is. So whether that's
huge.
music, pottery, painting, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what it is at all. Gardening, something that just helps you get back to nature and back to yourself so that you can kind of let those things go during that process and not think about anything else except for being creative in that moment.
And one thing I do want to emphasize there for the creative outlet, some people might feel like they're so already consumed in work and so stressed by work that they can't take anything else onto their plate. But like you said, it doesn't have to be really extreme or anything. It could be simple. It could be coloring. It could be drawing. And for me at first, when I took on creative outlets, and I do believe the creative outlet probably has made the biggest difference in my ability to focus at work.
Mm-hmm.
At first, kind of the creativity, like it starts going wild and going crazy because you've never really tapped into that creativity. So it's kind of all over the place. And I found myself at work when I first started being creative outside of work. I had ideas at work, and I felt like it was actually counterproductive, counterintuitive, because now I'm thinking about my creative outlet at work and I'm not fully focused. But once I got past that, and at that point, I think I would just write down the ideas on paper just to get them out of my mind. But once past that, it actually did the opposite. It actually helped me, and it allowed me to separate my creative time from work, and it gave me more focus, more purpose, more drive.
Yep.
For sure. But
exactly.
Yeah, I want to encourage people, like, don't get discouraged if your creativity is getting wild and you feel like it's harder to focus at first, because that's normal, and we just got to push past that. And then the outlet doesn't have to be extreme. It could be drawing or something simple.
Yeah, something totally simple. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. What's your creative outlet by chance? I don't think I've ever asked you.
Dance.
Dancing.
Or music. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Music's a good one. Dancing, music.
Mm-hmm. I have a big audiophile, so I love music. Mm-hmm. And the last thing I want to talk about today was, different types of stress provide us with different opportunities. So not every opportunity comes as a shiny rainbow. It doesn't come with like a big work bonus and buying a new car. Not every opportunity is like, oh, I'm going to get this new job and whatever. Sometimes opportunities come in the form in a pile of shit with a big shit bow on it. Okay.
Bag of lemons.
So, and we don't get so excited about those, do we?
No, we
no,
don't.
No, we don't get so excited about those. But really, if you think about the energy behind those opportunities, right? This pile of shit with a big shit bow on it. You have just as much of an opportunity to really grow through that as you do a positive opportunity, and maybe even more so. So that's one of the things that I talk about in the Grieving Mind in my work with my clients is that's one of the golden gifts of loss is yourself. And people don't like to hear that. And that's okay. They'll come to it when they're ready, because it doesn't feel like that in the very beginning. It might feel really shitty in the first 2 years. But at the end of it, you have a golden opportunity to reevaluate who you are, who are you being in this world, what do you want to do, what do you want to create. So
an example of this in the workplace, and it's like a high performance, a stressful work environment, might be someone who was either like a manager or a supervisor, or they were on their road to becoming a manager or supervisor. And then all of a sudden they got a move, and they thought that they were getting a promotion, or they thought they're getting a good move. And it might have been a negative move. It might have been like a demotion or a step downward. And this is going to look like a really shitty opportunity. It's going to look like a bag of lemons. We might not be getting as much money. Have been tied into the identity of that position. Like you said, identity losses happen when opportunities come. But now we have the opportunity to maybe perhaps find that creative side passion because we have more time since we got demoted. We have the opportunity to connect with our family and our home life.
That's right.
And really just find ourselves, maybe find that leader within us that might have been missing, which is why we got demoted in the first place.
That's right. Yeah, or it might be time for you to reevaluate and reassess, and maybe that job's not for you anymore.
Mm.
You know, maybe that job's for someone else. Maybe it really is time for you to move on for your own well-being, for your own growth, for the rest of your career, you know.
Yeah.
So,
And I think all the concepts and strategies that we talked about today, the journaling, the mindfulness, the gratitude, just the being present daily in that moment and starting off your days presently, that's really going to help us see the good or the silver lining in these opportunities.
yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Powerful.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to start these habits as soon as possible.
Yes, definitely. Especially during this time, especially.
Okay. Now, before we move on, you mentioned the word perfectionism earlier, and that to me was like a flag word. I know at my job, there was sense of like, you have to be perfect, you can't mess up. And even at my current job, I've actually been called a machine before at work. And if I get called a machine, I feel like I have to be perfect, like I have to perform like a machine. Machines don't break down, usually not. So I just want to talk about this idea of perfectionism in the workplace. Maybe you've had experiences with it before. Maybe you can share like your thoughts on perfectionism in the workplace.
Yeah, I mean, the whole concept of perfectionism is a logical fallacy anyways. So you can be performing perfectly, but what if you're a jerk to everyone around you?
Yeah.
You can be performing perfectly, but what if you're being so hard on yourself that you give yourself high blood pressure? Is that perfect? You know?
No.
So you might be able to correctly execute something in this moment, but then there's the next moment and the next moment. So it's important to remember that, especially during times of wild transformation that we're all in right now, everyone's doing the best that they can. And, you know, if you're in a position where, you know, your job is, you're required to perform in a more or less perfect manner, you might be going through a time right now where you wonder if that's the right job for you. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So the what I'm hearing you say is the concept of perfectionism in the workplace. If you ever feel like that label or that stigma is kind of being implied on ourselves in that specific situation, it's just a great opportunity to reevaluate if that situation is even right for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's just not. I just really don't think that there's, again, you can, like, let's say for example, like the Olympics, right? So the person that won the gold medal in whatever 1984 didn't perform in the exact same way that the person that won the gold medal 100-yard dash in 1988. It was a different moment in time. So it was exactly right for that moment. But perfection,
Yeah, so what's perfect today might not be perfect tomorrow. So I mean,
yeah.
My dad actually ripped the word perfect out of the dictionary when I was growing up. If you look at the P pages, it was completely ripped out. So I see now why he did it. At the time I couldn't figure it out, but now I see.
Yeah, I mean, perfectionism is a difficult one because I see it sometimes often. People that have that whole perfect complex, they don't allow themselves compassion. I mean, I would rather be more compassionate than perfect. I mean, there's no such thing as perfection. Nothing is perfect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think compassion is the better way to go. It's going to lead to a far more joyful life.
So perhaps if someone is feeling like the pressure to be perfect on them in the workplace, it might not even be like someone is telling them you have to be perfect, like you're a machine. It's just more so something that we're perceiving, and it could be we're placing that on ourselves because we don't have enough self-compassion and we don't have enough self-love, or maybe there's just more room to improve in our self-love and self-compassion.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. When perfectionism comes up, that is your key. It's your clue that you need to be more compassionate with yourself first and then out here with yourself first. Yeah.
I think that's a huge key. I think that's a great way to end. People are going to really take that because there's so many perfectionists in this world, and so many of us have self-declared OCD and stuff like that. So
yeah,
you feel like perfectionism is something that you struggle with, just that's the key, to look inward and look at self-compassion and self-love, and then go outward with it and show up imperfectly as you are.
Yeah, you know what? One of the biggest things that I learned in therapy after my losses was, if I'm trying so hard at something and I continue to cut myself down because I'm still missing the mark,
Yep.
that is the worst thing you can do to yourself. It's the most unproductive thing ever. You have to give yourself credit for how far you've come. And besides that, I mean, you know, improvements are made incrementally. You know, you just don't wake up one day and you've mastered something. It's just, you know, it's a process. It takes time.
And
It's
every
good to
step
give
is
yourself that grace.
important.
Yes.
So as we wind down to an end, we're moving into the last question sponsor.
Okay.
Because the shows are so close together, they're only a week apart. Normally I have a month between interviews.
Mm-hmm.
We have the same last question sponsor. It's Carlos Ariel Then. He's the owner, the CEO of Mr. Then Millennial Finance and Consulting.
Mm-hmm.
And he is working on his most recent book, I Give You Options, I believe is the name of it. And it's going to be a book about investing in the stock market and just options trading. So this question is sponsored by him. And I don't want to ask you the same question I asked you last time, because that was just a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I asked you, what does wonder mean to you? And you define wonder as, why am I drawing a blank?
Hope.
Yeah, you define wonder as hope. And we talked about the wonder of hope and how if you don't have hope, just to start wondering. And that's a great place to start.
Mm-hmm.
So this time I'd like to ask you, if wonder is hope, how can we create more wonder in the world, or more hope in the world?
Right. And I would say that's a process of looking at how things are now as they are and getting curious about how they could be better and how your life could be used as a tool for improving those things around you, your community, your family. You always start here, and then you do your family unit, and then you go to your larger community. So, because things are not probably exactly how we'd want them right now. And it's a matter of getting curious. This is what we're all going to be doing in the next several years, I think. Getting curious about how we would actually like life to be out picturing, and what can we do to be a part of that movement.
Got it. So you're saying that, like, we are the hope and we are the wonder we want to see in the world, and it's with us. And I think we can even get more specific. It starts like first thing in the morning. It's like from morning to night. Like, we have the power to create the hope that we want to see. But if we're not experiencing that hope in the morning, then we're not going to feel it at night or in the darkness, so to speak.
Yeah, it's about getting really focused on what you do want. Really focused on what you do want, because you do bring in what you focus on. We've all had experiences with that. I'm sure that when you were making those mistakes at work, you probably, for a period of time, you're like focused on all the mistakes, so you just made more mistakes.
Yeah.
And instead of switching, now you have the SWISH pattern. So instead of switching to what you actually want to be experiencing. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this wonderful knowledge with us. I really believe it's going to help plenty of people in their high-performing jobs. It's going to help them to be less stressed. It's going to help them to make less mistakes. And most of all, just help them to be more at peace and happier with themselves and have more self-compassion in the working environment.
Yes, absolutely. So much fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I'll put your link in the show notes, Tamara. Once again, where can people find you if they want to learn more about you?
Sure, they can visit my website at www.thegrievingmind.com. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm probably most active there, as well as on Facebook.
Got it. And I just want to say, guys, I did not check out her website, The Grieving Mind, before our last interview. And that was my mistake, and I missed a huge opportunity. I strongly urge you guys to check out thegrievingmind.com, www.thegrievingmind.com. There's so many free resources. It's a very well done website. Every component of the grief process, the grief cycle, every type of unexpected grief, everything you can think of is there, and there's a resource to help with every single stage. So definitely check it out. Thank you for doing that, Tamara. I'm sure it took a bunch of time on your part. I know my website took forever.
Yeah, it did. Yes. A couple years. Yes.
So, and with that being said, I just want to leave it off. Normally I say you are the wonder that you want to see in the world, but I'm going to say today that you are the hope that you want to see in the world. And it all starts with you. Thank you, Tamara. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you whenever we do this again.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
All right, so there you have it. That was the interview and the coaching conversation with Tamara Smith of the Grieving Mind. We talked all things stress, mental health, workplace resiliency regarding physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual stress in the workplace. So I told you I would share with you what happened with the SWISH pattern. What do you guys think of the SWISH pattern? If you guys want to learn more about the SWISH pattern or any of the tools or techniques we talked about today, anchoring, resets, all of that stuff, you can just email myself or you can reach out to Tamara directly. Tamara can be found at her website, thegrievingmind.com. My website is wakeupwithwonder.com. Our contact information is on both of our websites, and both of us are qualified to help you and to coach you through these tools and techniques. With that being said, my experience of the SWISH pattern was, so she tried to rewire my brain to not grab ice cream, and I wanted to visualize grabbing water, right? What happened for me was the very next morning, or that very same night, when I woke up like in the middle of the night and it was super hot, instead of like going and grabbing ice cream out of the freezer, I actually went to the fridge and I grabbed some oat milk. Now, I never just drink oat milk at night, so that was kind of weird, but I see like my brain kind of still wanting dairy, but it automatically went to the fridge where like Tamara and I kind of reprogrammed it to go. And then from there, I don't think I had any cold water, so that's why I grabbed the oat milk. But I thought it was cool. I thought it was interesting how I didn't even realize that in the moment until the next morning when I woke up. So it was cool that when I reflected, I see that it did work. And since then, it's been about a week now. I haven't even had ice cream all week. Just been having water, and I guess I drink oat milk now. So yeah, there's that. SWISH did work. And we also covered grounding, and I've been using grounding pretty much for the most part at work. When I need to focus, I do touch my elbow, and once again, within 15 to 30 seconds, I'm able to get grounded and extremely focused. So if you want to learn more about these tools, techniques, please reach out to Tamara or myself. Links are in the show notes. And if you know someone at your job, if you work at a high-performing, high-stress work environment, this is the perfect episode to share with them. They're going to get the same amount of value out of that I got out of it. And yeah, please continue leaving ratings, reviews. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget, you are the wonder in the world. Go out to make some wonderful shit happen and have a wondrous day.